Hey guys, this is a short video on my Polish army for Team Yankee of 100 points. This is what I typically field at 100 points, bar perhaps the Gophers. Sometimes I drop the Gophers to have a couple more T-55s, but I'm just going to run through this quite quickly just so an idea perhaps what I usually run, and if you have any ideas perhaps what is better or what is, feel free to comment in the comment section. So first thing, we have a T-55 formation with 1 unit leader and 3 T-55 AM units of 5 each, with one of them having the mine plow devices, just in case there are any sort of mines that they need to be cleared. And these guys usually I use as the chaff. Don't want to throw them away, but they're very useful for pushing forward, rushing forward, and hopefully usually softening any sort of infantry teams on objectives, or just getting in the way and being a nuisance. But surprisingly, they are very useful, I have to say, in games. But I don't like using too many of them. Usually just here's about 16 T-55s. I haven't seen hordes of T-55s in my certain games, even though I have heard people sometimes can use past 40 to even 50 of them, but that's just too many and becomes a car park on the board. But I find 16 of them usually works rather well. In that formation, I do have some Gophers, some anti-air capability, which are nice good unit, quite useful against an aircraft that might come on the table with their 4+ firepower check. Then in my second formation, I have a BMP motor rifle battalion with a unit leader, 1 BMP-1, and 2 platoons of BMP-1s. But a small infantry team, so 4 AK-74 teams and 3 RPG teams each. I find that it gets very expensive really when you get to the medium larger size teams, but also very unwieldy. I find this sort of size unit is quite useful holding down objectives, but also going forward in support of the T-55s. And then of course what we have here is a BRDM platoon, which is very good for scouting and spearhead. So you can deploy them normally in your deployment zone, then you can move them forward. I believe a maximum dash speed, as long as not too close to the other opponent's deployment zone. And then they can form an 8-inch bubble around them where you can deploy a unit. So it's actually quite useful, that. Then of course we have a T-72M platoon. Once again, front armor 15, but very useful still. And they usually come in reserves along with my T-72Bs here with the Songster missile, which is anti-21 missile, just to make up the points. They're also very good anti-22 for an armor 18. And if you're playing reserves, usually these T-72Bs as well as the T-72Ms come in on reserve, so they make for a good powerful punch. And usually come rushing forward anyway, because of course in any Warsaw Pact you have to be aggressive. I learned that the hard way many times, where you can't really sit back if you want to get the objective, because in Team Yankee it's all about holding objectives. You don't want to get dragged down into a firefight usually, even though of course it does help whittling down the other opponent's formation. It's about getting to that objective as soon as possible. Of course we have our Shilkas also as our anti-air support, but also as anti-infantry. They're also quite useful and very good for defending objectives or just moving forward with your BMPs to give some close fire support. And then you've got a cheap and cheerful unit, the Gaskins here as well, which are just very good for anti-air, even though they've got a 5+ firepower check, but it's an extra unit that they have to get rid of, but always quite well hidden. Artillery support on my Danas, or was it Danas? I don't know how to really pronounce it, but Danas I always prefer over Carnations, because really predominantly we've got the autoloader. It's very useful to autoload the rule for the Dana, which basically means when they're ranging in, instead of ranging in, for example, pass on a 5+, because it's all terrain and other factors, they'll be ranging in on a 4+. Of course, the BMP Observer has a skill, I believe, of 4. The autoloader automatically brings that down to a 3. I think I remember that correctly, but it's very useful for the Dana, even though they have only anti-tank 14 for direct fire. It's a quite good unit, and I usually like fielding 6 of these, just because then you can reroll unsuccessful rolls to hit. They are very large models, so when you are deploying them, you have to be a bit careful and make sure they have close support nearby so they don't get shot up. But also that is my 100 points of polls. Just as a quick little test video of how I can talk on video. As usually, I don't like talking too much on video. It's always quite nerve-wracking, but it doesn't really matter. But this is my 100 points of polls that I usually field, and hopefully I get to field this sort of army hopefully soon. But also I'll be changing a bit because recently I've been working on my hips and fit to fight a bomber flight. But this is it. See, what do you guys think? I mean, it's obviously you can always have more T into Bs or T into B formation or T into M formation, but I always find I do like a soft spot for the T-55 as a good sort of unit, as they do have their uses, and there's a few of them. So when going up NATO, at least, if they have some very expensive tanks, they can go around the sides, but also just once again just be a nuisance. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a lovely day.